President Esteban, Provost Robinson, Executive Cabinet, leadership, special guests, colleagues, and students. It is my pleasure to welcome you as we kick off yet another year of the Petersheim Academic Exposition. For the past 15 years, a small group of volunteers has come together in an effort to foster and heighten awareness of the many university-wide academic accomplishments of our students. This year's committee has certainly exhibited passion, and in the words of the late Matthew Petersheim, the committee has been driven to bring knowledge to life. And it is believed that true knowledge is power, and certainly it can be found here at the very core of teaching and learning at Seton Hall. We have a number of extraordinary programs, events, as well as oral and poster presentations throughout this week. The program schedule has been posted by the Setonian editorial staff in last week's paper, sent via broadcast with the help of the Provost office, in particular Kirk Rawn and Bernadette McVeigh, and posted on the Expo website with the help of Miriam Lyons-Frollo and Michael Dooney. I encourage all of you to review the schedule and attend these programs by bringing colleagues and, of course, classes of students to attend. There is an extensive abstract program provided on the Expo website that includes the students' research abstracts compiled by the hard work of Michael Vigorito. It is quite an extraordinary program of research abstracts. The students really should be proud. You see, we share, honor, and unite in so many wonderful contributions to the Academy. Our volunteer committee members have contributed greatly in the common goal to bring our students' academic accomplishments to the forefront. My heartfelt gratitude to Sulie Chang, the Expo co-chair, for the generous support of her Institute for Neuroimmune Pharmacology under the Office of the Provost, and her staff, Caitlin Conahan, a theology master's candidate, and Eric Langsford, who will be soon our second molecular bioscience PhD graduate. And without their help this year, the Expo would not be possible. We look forward to hearing from our wonderful speakers today, and I thank you all for joining us.
We'd like to thank Provost Larry Robinson and the Provost office for their ongoing support of the Petersheim Academic Exposition. I'd like to welcome Provost Robinson up to the microphone to give a few remarks.
Good afternoon. I'm always a little bit sensitive to the fact that anytime you receive an introduction, there's always some question about where it's going to go. And I appreciated your brief introduction today. I'm reminded of Mark Twain when he had been introduced a number of times on different occasions, and finally he was curious and he reached out and he spent $25 trying to discover his family history so he could learn more because of introductions. And after discovering a great deal, he then spent $50 trying to cover it up. And I have the privilege of welcoming you also to the 15th Annual Petersheim Academic Exposition. This commemorates, as you've heard and read, the undergraduate and graduate scholarly achievement, an endeavor we all value. A great university, through the able efforts of faculty and students, demonstrates fundamental values associated with our existence, which is teaching and scholarship. The value of research, what we're going to be witnessing throughout this 16th. The value of research is its fundamental role in the advancement of knowledge, the development of a discipline, and the expansion of our information about topics of interest. Knowledge is revealed and created through the inquiries we have, the questions we ask, the answers we seek. Questions are the key information building, learning, and knowledge about that which we wish to study or the other we wish to understand. The construction of our knowledge is performed through our methods, qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methodology, each helping us to discover what we deem significant or most relevant to our lives and to others. As scholars, each of you is unique because of your desire to think critically, your courage to ask questions about an area of interest to you, your ability to frame a method for finding an answer to the questions you posed, and your persistence in pursuing the cycle of research. This is no easy feat. In many instances, you will learn as much about yourself as you did the area in which you were researching. Our greatest academics, political, and religious figures regularly engage in the research endeavor. Congratulations to you for your shared interest in asking, searching, and finding answers to challenging questions. May you continue to seek knowledge and engage in your quest for truth about the world in which we live and yourself. Starting today through the 16th represents and demonstrates our academic values relating to academic achievement. Dr. Chang and Dr. Carr commented and appropriately noted this exposition continues the legacy of Dr. Matthew Petersheim, who believed the work and efforts of students should be celebrated. This legacy reminds me of Cicero, the Roman orator and writer, who stated, "There is no occupation so sweet as scholarship. Scholarship is the means of making known to us, while still in this world, the infinity of matter, the immense grandeur of nature, the heavens, the lands, and the seas. Scholarship has taught us piety, moderation, greatness of heart. It snatches our souls from the darkness and shows them all things, the high and the low, the first, the last, and everything in between. Scholarship furnishes us with the means of living well and happily. It teaches us how to spend our lives without discontent and without vexation. It bears noting that a small group of dedicated faculty, administrators, and staff continue to perpetuate this noble effort. You were recognized earlier today. We owe each of you a debt of gratitude for all you do. We look forward to your efforts this week. It's been my pleasure to address you today. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. It's a great honor to me to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Gabriel Esteban. However, it is a very challenging assignment, as Dr. Esteban has distinguished himself in many fields and has been successful in both academia and administrations. From mathematics to business and to a PhD of administration. Because there is simply not enough time to highlight all his accomplishments, committee have provided about sketch in the program book for you to read about his accomplishment. His education, his business venture, and his successful administrative career, including his great influence on much advancement at Seton Hall since he joined us in 2007. The first time I met Dr. Esteban, I was a member of the Provost Search Committee, and he was a prospective applicant for the position. Looking back now, I can say that what stood out most to me about Dr. Esteban was his enthusiasm about higher education at all levels. In fact, in my opinion, Dr. Esteban was the only candidate at that time that was willing to engage himself in both research and graduate study in a real prospect level at Seton Hall. I remember that time I mentioned to him about the two newly implemented PhD program. One is the molecular bioscience, and one is nursing school. And he really answered the question to the way that is, as I say, is real and positive to progress here. In February, while I was attending NIH's review committee in Santa Monica, I watched with great joy as Dr. Esteban was welcomed as Seton Hall's 20th president. I could not help but notice that I was not the only one who was excited when I heard the comment, "Everybody loves Esteban." That was posted on the online forum. Dr. Esteban has taken a long way traveling from his home in Philippines to US, where he has taught and studied in California, Arkansas, Hawaii, Texas, and Massachusetts. It is a wonder and privilege that Dr. Esteban chooses New Jersey, and most specifically Seton Hall University as his home. His years of education experience in leading transformation and change will no doubt have definitely positive impact on Seton Hall in the years to come. Dr. Esteban's strong Catholic faith and his willingness to dedicate himself to his work make him the kind of man we are all proud to call our president. Please join me to welcome President Esteban.
Thank you, Sulie. You're most kind. When the Provost mentioned Mark Twain, and he gave the example of Mark Twain spending $50 to cover up his past, I was just reading actually in Business Week, one of the latest business ventures is there are companies now which you pay to cover up your web presence. And it's fascinating to read how they supposedly scrub everything related to you, which has become more and more a fact of life. Because I think at one time or another, some of our students, maybe when they were younger, had maybe pictures which they really did not want to share with anyone. But it's fascinating that you have that as a business. Dr. Chang, you've been most kind in your comments. I'd like to acknowledge a few individuals first before I get started. We have a member of our Board of Trustees and our Board of Regents who happens to be on our faculty and also the Minister to the Priest community, Monsignor Cafon. Thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to thank Father Frizzell for the invocation, Provost, and I saw Vice President Dr. Wankel. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to welcome everyone to the 15th Annual Petersheim Academic Exposition. I'm honored to be here for the opening ceremony of Expo Week, as I believe it represents the essence of student and faculty expertise, imagination, artistry, and commitment to scholarship. I wish to thank Dr. Sulie Chang and Dr. Vivienne Carr for inviting me to deliver the keynote this year about the themes that we are celebrating: share, honor, and unite. There's much to be said about these words, each of these concepts that applies directly to the work all of us do at Seton Hall, as teachers, learners, as servant leaders, and as members of this unique academic community. First, a note of historical perspective. Seton Hall is blessed with dedicated and accomplished faculty who share heightened enthusiasm for the work of our students. We're all here today because of the enthusiasm of the late Dr. Matthew Petersheim, Associate Professor of Biochemistry and Chairperson of the Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. Dr. Petersheim, as everyone knows, died in 1998 after a courageous battle with brain cancer. I'm told that in the spring of 1995, when the campus was buzzing with excitement over a particularly successful athletic season. Dr. Petersheim started asking his colleagues one simple but very important question: why don't we celebrate academic achievements as well? After a year of spirited lobbying by Dr. Petersheim, the inaugural Academic Exposition, in collaboration with the Division of Student Affairs, became a reality. In 1999, with enthusiastic support from faculty and the entire Seton Hall community, the event was named the Petersheim Academic Exposition in honor of Matt Petersheim. Today, as in years past, we are proud to say thank you, Dr. Petersheim. This exposition keeps your memory alive and brings students and faculty together in a very special way. As you are aware, this year's theme is Share, Honor, and Unite. It is worthwhile, I believe, to reflect on the meanings of these powerful words that say so much about Seton Hall and about this academic exposition. Sharing innovation and knowledge, support for each other's work, and excitement about academic achievement is what makes a university a center for intellectual growth and development. Certainly is what we are all about. The core ethic of the Judeo-Christian tradition, which resides in Scripture and as it has developed in the Western philosophical tradition, calls on each individual to share with other individuals in community to the extent that one hopes and expects others to share with him or herself. The early church, as an example, lived the notion of community in a radical way. The idea of share and share alike came to full fruition, although not total perfection, in the experiences of the first Christians in Jerusalem and elsewhere throughout the Mediterranean world. In our very own Journeys of Transformation classes, that's required of every freshman, we study the writings of St. Augustine and the notion of happiness as it is in the context of a community. The critique of societies and economic systems is often, perhaps most often, based on the divergence between haves and have-nots. Even competing philosophies sometimes share this central concern. For example, in both Marxism and the Catholic social teaching, one of which denies the existence of God, and the other one which seeks to maintain the ancient covenant with a loving Creator, the philosopher, social activist, or person of faith is faced squarely with the inequities and injustices of not sharing one's gifts with others. In our society, the call is clear. We are called to share, to give of our time, our talent, and our treasure without stinting, nor expectation of anything in return. The miracle of the loaves and fishes has always been for me one of the most powerful stories in the Gospels because of the profound message of sharing and community that it portrays. Don't each of us have many loaves to share with others as well? Honoring Dr. Petersheim, the university's tradition of academic excellence and the relationship that exists between mentor and student is what the Petersheim Exposition is all about. We honor our God-given talents as well as the product of hard work and excellence in research that is on display here this week. Last year at this time, the Provost focused his remarks on the idea of mentorship and the value both parties gain in such a relationship. He quoted Ralph Waldo Emerson in this regard, and I'll do it today. It is one of the most beautiful compensations of life that no one can sincerely try to help one another without helping themselves. Honoring the past achievements of scholars and leaders and honoring the relationship between teacher and student results in untold compensation, as Emerson phrased it, for all concerned. To honor another is perhaps the most valuable gift more than material or monetary reward. The one that we can share because it expresses the extra dimension of the heart and the spiritual connection we all share. As a home for the mind, the heart, and the spirit, Seton Hall seeks to be an institution that lives what it preaches and honors the members of its own community above all. We are called to unite as an intellectual community committed to value-centered learning. In his book, Transforming a College, the late higher education scholar George Keller identified a number of factors that led to the rapid rise of a formerly obscure college in North Carolina, which we used to call Elon College, now Elon University. These factors included quality everywhere, planning, financial acumen, marketing, and most importantly, people. Paying attention to the selection, training, development, and rewarding of people. In this regard, Elon united all aspects of the planning and execution of a total university program, starting and ending with the people who carried out the institution's mission. We have learned valuable lessons from this and many other experiences in higher education. Applying learning to learning, if I may state it in such a way, results in a whole and unified educational environment. Indeed, the concept of the Petersheim Exposition is to expose the university as a whole to the various facets of academic life and achievement. Often carried out privately in the lab or in an office, away from the crowds, academic research may be quite a solitary undertaking. But here, the community is given a chance to see and evaluate and enjoy the work of individuals and to better understand the context in which such work is carried out. It is not for personal gain, but for the good of the whole, for the education of others, for the advancement of our institution among the vast network of enterprise that is higher education. Allow me to close with a recollection of a book I read last fall, and some of you may have heard me quote this before, Mountains Beyond Mountains by Tracy Kidder. I read this book along with the members of our class of 2014. It opened me to a deeper understanding of the true meaning of servant leadership and of the difference one individual can make in many lives. In the book, Dr. Paul Farmer, a Harvard-educated physician and anthropologist, is on a quest to help solve the world's health crisis by curing infectious diseases that kill millions every year around the globe. Dr. Farmer teaches us that a servant leader can affect global society through actions on an individual level. In his case, healing one person at a time. To me, one of the most moving passages in the book is a quote from one of Dr. Farmer's impoverished AIDS patients, who says to him, "When I was sick and no one would touch me, you used to sit on my bed with your hand on my head." For this act of charity and healing, the patient goes on to tell the doctor, "I would like to give you a chicken or a pig." Okay. Paul Farmer could not know, as when he decided to dedicate his life to helping others, where his journey would take him, or that he would touch literally millions of lives through his work. Is there a better example of the themes of this year's Petersheim Exposition than this? Sharing without care for recompense, honoring the dignity of another for a job well done, uniting in community as servant leaders and achievers for the good of all. I congratulate the scholars on their presentations and the organizers for their service in bringing us together to expand our awareness of the world of learning. Thank you and have a great afternoon.